Good morning, friends. This is Minesh Baxi, and I'm really excited about this new group that we have started called FridayNetworking.com. It is totally free. We feature an exciting speaker every month, every week from 10 a.m. to 10:20 Eastern, and then 10:20 to 10 minutes, we have an interaction with the speaker, any questions, comments, responses. And then 10:30 to 11, we have speed networking one-to-one. So you can actually connect with other people, like-minded, learn about how you can promote your business to other people. So let's start with Dave here. And Dave is the author of the book called Echoes Across the Tracks. It's a wonderful story that I read, enjoyed it. There it is. Dave is showing his book there. So Dave Moravec is an accomplished business leader with over 40 years of experience in a variety of industries, including educational technology and printing. A Chicago native transplanted in Cincinnati, Dave's consultative approach to fractional sales management and Chamber of Commerce growth has been in high demand as a respected speaker, storyteller, and entrepreneurial therapist. Dave currently serves as president and CEO of the Coleraine Chamber of Commerce and consults with clients as sales manager for rent. Thanks for joining, Dave. I'll let the floor be yours.
Thank you so much, Minesh. I truly appreciate the introduction. It took me like 5 seconds to write that introduction for the back of the book. 40 years to compile that into one paragraph is really difficult, as most of you know who are in business. You have a list of accomplishments, you have a list of places you've worked, and to compile that into a paragraph for a book, just really snap of the fingers. But really appreciate all of you being here and hearing the story. This past week celebrated 1 year anniversary for the publishing of Echoes Across the Tracks. I usually start with telling the writing story because people ask, how do you get the inspiration to write a book? And it came from a bad travel experience. All of us have traveled over the years, and I had a bad travel experience coming back from Colorado. I was stuck in Dallas, Texas, maybe late evening, 9, 10 o'clock. And the American Airlines flight to Cincinnati had been canceled. And they told me that the next flight that I could get on was Tuesday at noon. That just didn't seem reasonable for me to spend 2 more nights in Dallas, coming from Colorado to find a hotel, stay over a couple nights. I said, that just isn't reasonable. So I went gate to gate at Dallas and finally found a flight to Louisville, which is about an hour and a half. And I figured, well, I can get home from Louisville. My wife could pick me up, and that'd be great. But what I found out was that there's a direct Greyhound bus that goes from Louisville to Cincinnati, and I was home by 9 o'clock, 9:30 the next morning on Monday morning. Was able to start my week, but what I realized was the gate attendant at Dallas allowed me to get on the flight. It took an extraordinary effort to communicate with me. Others, not so much, because it was busy Sunday night in Dallas. And she said, well, I think I can get you on the flight. You'll have to wait a little bit. We got in at 1:30 in the morning. And so this was in the back of my mind over the summer of 2023. And I came back from dinner on Thanksgiving. This was with some friends, and I guess it would be late November of 2023. And I wrote down an outline for the book. And I just said, hey, travel, challenges, life lessons, people who help you along the way. And then I started writing. And on Monday or Friday of Thanksgiving weekend, I didn't have to work. So I just continued to type, and I was in my office. Typical Friday. My wife didn't know that I wasn't working, didn't think about it. I took a break to watch some football, came back to it on Saturday morning and continued to write. And my wife came into my office after some time and said, why are you in your office on a Saturday morning? I said, well, I think I'm writing a book. By the following Friday, by that Sunday, I had 10 chapters done. And by the following Friday, the book was complete. So 9 days of writing from Thanksgiving to the following Friday accomplished about 40,000 words, 17 chapters, and some life lessons that came as a result of years and years of experience. And that's really where the impetus of the story came from was not just the bad travel experience, but the life experiences that had taken place over a lengthy period of time. I wove some characters into the book. The main character is Charlie, who is a consultant author who's traveling to New Orleans specifically for a leadership conference. And he's signing books and having a really good event. And he's heading to the airport after the event for a book signing in Chicago, and his flight gets canceled. And what happens to most of us? We just rebook a flight. Well, in Charlie's case, he decides to take an alternate route because his cab driver, whose name is Aura in the book, suggests that he take the train instead. And Charlie, being the kind of guy that he is, he looks at his phone and decides he doesn't have to be in Chicago the next day and says, okay, take me to the train station. That starts the book. And it's available on Amazon, and I've made the first chapter available to everybody on the planet free. Because what I've said is, if you like the first chapter, if you like the way the character development and the fun approach takes place in that first chapter, you're going to be hooked. You're going to go, I need to read this book. I need to pick this up. And what I found, because most of the readers that have read it so far have given me positive reviews, it's a page turner. It's different than many novels that you pick up in that it's a shorter novel. It's about 180 pages, 186 pages, and it goes very quickly. You want to get to the next chapter. You want to hear Charlie's next story. You want to hear about the interactions that are taking place. And that story-like environment is different than many novels that take place that have a different feel to it. The subtitle of the book is Life Lessons Through Unexpected Connections. All of us have come to events like this and met somebody, and it might be Kyle, it might be Esther Sue, it might be Bill, and gone, wow, if I hadn't attended that event, I wouldn't have X, Y, or Z. I wouldn't have been able to further my business, or I wouldn't have had this business connection, or whatever that is. And this book is a reminder that you can meet anybody, any place. And networking doesn't necessarily have to take place in an event like this in order to affect change. Many of you have met a spouse in college or high school or afterwards in a place that you never thought you would meet them. I've got a good friend who met his wife in a bar saying, hey, can I buy you a drink? Now, that doesn't happen very often. They've been married 30 some years at this point. You think about hookups or you think about first time meetings. Most of those times they don't work out. But in his case, it did, just by simply saying, do you want to have a drink? And those things happen on the train on a regular basis. The character development, again, came from compilations of people that I've met over my 40 plus year career, people that were influential or that inspired me to talk about that type of person. It may not be the exact person's personality. It may be incorporated. Even Aura, the cab driver, is a compilation of, if you've ridden an Uber and a cab in New York, Chicago, any big city, all cab drivers have a story. And I oftentimes start conversations by asking, how long have you been here? If they've got a heavy accent, how long have you been in the city? I was in New Orleans. Minesh mentioned I was in New Orleans this past weekend, and we had a couple of drivers where I used that exact same line. How long have you been in New Orleans? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, longer. They all have a story, and Aura has a story. Aura has a significant story and a significant impact. So those lessons come out through these other characters that are met along the way. I also tried to make it relevant to today, incorporating LinkedIn and incorporating language that would take place today. Yeah, we have a lot of tools available to us with AI and note takers in rooms like this, but true interaction takes place one-on-one with a conversation. And I think that's why I was attracted when Minesh said, would you like to come and talk about your book? It's been a year, and I've probably done, I don't know, a dozen podcasts or more on the Echoes Across the Tracks. I'm glad to answer any questions. In fact, if you have a question you want to make sure that I answer, put it in the chat and I'll make sure to address it. The process of writing the book, I didn't know what I didn't know because I'm 62. I'm a first-time author. And so what I did was I went to other authors and said, people that I knew that had written books, and I said, hey, who published your book? What was the process like? What suggestions would you have? And very much entrepreneurially, if you're starting a business or your client is starting a business, they need to find out what the gotchas are and what the challenges are. I wasn't sure about the financial side of things. I wasn't sure about the graphics and the creation of a cover associated with it. Even this little decal logo here came about in the last few months. I submitted the book to the International Impact Book Awards in Phoenix, Arizona, and it won in two categories, life lessons and travel. I didn't know that you could just submit your book and have it reviewed to potentially be a book winner. So in February, I went to Phoenix and had a red carpet event, told the story, received an award. It's over my shoulder up in the back here with a baseball in the middle of it. And it was a significant event. But my point is that I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I explored it entrepreneurially and have turned it into a business, if you will. There's ins and outs, just like there is any other business. There's input of dollars and cents from events and the sale of books. There's less dollars and cents that come from Amazon and other book resellers than I would have thought that it would be. So I've learned that along the way, but I've also learned that the best place to promote the book is through word of mouth. Esther Sue, you may pick up the book and you might go, wow, this is great, but I want to share it with my book club here in the Carolinas. I want to tell that to 10 more people. And what I found is, excuse me, that the best audiences that I've had have been those that have purchased the book ahead of time, read some of the book, or at least understand the book. I've done some corporate outings where I've spoken to their entire team about team building and the importance of networking and the importance of creating a corporate plan for client engagement and having a fun approach to their corporate story. And those are really been the best engagements for me. I'm working with Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors here in Cincinnati, who's purchasing a book for all of their board and talking about customer service and how important it is from a board's perspective to provide that level of support to the chamber members that are in their community, and using the book for that tool, I think is going to benefit their particular group. The process itself, I self-published through an organization down in Sarasota, Florida, called First Edition Design Publishing. They were amazing to work with. They have a woman named Deb Gordon, who was just inspirational for me, answered lots of questions that she didn't necessarily have to answer. On the front side, not knowing whether or not I was going to publish the book through them. Their model is a fee approach. So I knew what my costs were going to be going in, but relative to some of the costs associated with publishing a first book through another hybrid publisher, or taking a significant amount of time finding a publisher through an agent, it could have taken me years to do that. I might be 6 feet under. I might get hit by the proverbial bus tomorrow. And I thought, no, I'm going to bring this to market sooner rather than later. So I began writing the book on Thanksgiving, November 2023, and it published April 4th of 2024. It's a really quick timeline from what others have told me. Many people take, and you may have a book inside of you that you've started, written, partially written, over a series of years. And what I've encouraged people to do is to continue to write and to continue to write as opposed to taking a break. I was in Chicago and met another author, and he read the book is really about a 3-hour read. You can read it in a cross-country air flight. And what he said to me was, I understand that it was written in 9 days because it was really consistent. There were no breaks because the stream of consciousness over a 9-day period was easily seen in the book. And that, I think, is a differentiator for me as an author, because I want to tell a consistent story. And if you're talking to a group or you have a pre-planned a speech or a talk, you want it to be consistent over that period of time. And my book tells that in a consistent way. And I really appreciated the feedback. One more thing that came out of the Chicago event was that I met another author who came from California, and she and I were standing in the booth talking about the book publishing, and there was expenses associated with hotels and the booth and the promotion of it. We did some bookmarks. There's a significant expense in going to that event, and she had more coming from California because she had an air flight. And what she said to me was, do you look for an ROI when you go on vacation? And this was an epiphany for me. And I thought, you know what? I really don't. I go on a cruise ship, or I take a trip to the mountains or go to the beach. I pay for the hotel and I get an experience. Well, this has been an experience for me that has absolutely been out of this world. And the expense associated with it, I've looked at very much like a vacation trip. But this time I get to share that vacation trip with people like yourselves who are picking up the book, and it's really not about the dollars and cents. The last thing I'll mention before I take your questions and open it up for conversations is my son-in-law actually helped on the front side to ask the question, or asked me to ask the question, who is it you're writing for? And sometimes people write for a general audience. Some are writing for their clients to have something in their background and in their profile that says, now I'm an author. Some people do it for a specific purpose, to tell their story. They're helping their business practice. And sometimes it's a personal story. I helped a friend to publish his book through First Edition Design Publishing. He wrote a memoir from his experience in Vietnam. He was left for dead in a body bag in Vietnam, and somebody saw the bag moving and said, well, we better check inside, unzipped it. And sure enough, he gasped a breath and was like, wow, I'm alive. And they went through multiple surgeries, and he went on to live a long and healthy life. And he's still alive today to tell his story. But the importance of that information, that story, and who he's writing for, in his case, was for himself and for the legacy of his story. For me, it's entertaining. There's lessons. Yes, it adds credibility to my consulting and my coaching and my business practice, but it also lends, for me as a Chamber of Commerce executive, a reason to talk about the stuff that's inside of here. And just like your experiences over a 10, 20, 40-year career, you have all of those stories inside of you that you share from time to time. Mine just happened to be written.
Good morning, how and then.
So with that, I'll end with this. Echoes Across the Tracks has a continuation. I've written the second book. It took 10 days to write the second book. It's called Echoes to Remember, and it's the sequel to the first book. I've actually created an outline for up to 6 Echoes books that I hope to publish in the next couple of years. But Echoes to Remember will come out. It's in its final editing. I've got a new cover and interior pictures already created. So I'm excited to release that hopefully in the next 2 to 6 weeks would be my guess.
Fantastic, Dave. Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate you so much. And thanks to all the people who are here as well. And because there are 3 people who have cameras on, other than obviously my family, they will get the book, right? So I promised up to 5, but I see 3 people with cameras on. So I would like to reward the people with cameras on. So there is Kyle, Esther Sue, and Bill. And
And
sorry if you don't have your camera on
Joyce is
because,
there.
pardon?
Jocelyn did.
Huh?
Yeah, Jocelyn just turned her camera on so she could get one, and it looks like Anna.
I'm actually sitting here listening to everything, and then I received an email that was saying that, hey, are you here?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I'm listed as Joyce instead of the full name. And then all of a sudden I saw a name change up there.
Well, that's
and
what
then
happens.
I hear about gifts given away. Yeah, I jump in.
Yeah. So
but
this
everything
time I
is
will,
really
this
good.
time,
Yeah, I'm
this time,
listening.
yeah, this time we will. So there it is. My good friend Hannah is here as well. Hannah, how are you doing today?
Great, awesome. Good talk, Dave. Good talk.
Thank you.
I think I felt the biggest message in your story was that, focus. Once you focus on something, you started because of the flight delay, 2 days, and then you focused on the book and did it in 9 days. So one of the biggest message I want to be, out there is if you focus on one thing, you can start to end way quicker than trying to do 10 things at the same time.
Correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I did this while working full time. So I'm an early riser. I write in 4-hour segments. So for me, 5 in the morning till 9 in the morning is perfect. That's a great time for me. It's my freshest time. So you're absolutely right. But oftentimes we get distracted by our little devices here.
Oh yeah, I'm the
have
distraction queen.
Exactly. There you go.
And it is easy, especially when you have short sleep disorder, right? So my story is very simple, and I want to share that very quickly. I started writing a book called Stop Stopping, Start Starting, except I stopped. And then I hired coach and became part of a program for over 2 years to learn and publish the book. Since then, I've published over 12 books. I can practically, with somebody who has experience and expertise, I can help them write a book in a day, because if they have the content, it's not that complicated. But yeah, so thank you for sharing, Dave, about 9 days for finishing it off. And obviously you said the first time doing it. So anybody else has any question that they want to ask Dave before we go towards at 10:30, we will be going to speed networking.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and which is it's interesting how ideas can come in the strangest of places, and lately I have been trying to make sure that I focus on being in a place where there are no distractions, so like even on Mondays, I have like Mondays for the next 6 weeks are no social media, no television. If you're going, I'll read a book, but I'm not going to do any type of things like that. And I noticed that being in that quiet place does make a huge difference. Now, I can't do 4 hours, Dave. My ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD, won't let me do 4 hours. But there are certain things, like certain ideas that I noticed that when I'm just being quiet, not being distracted, and just giving them the freedom to manifest themselves in my head, that makes a huge difference. So, and it sounds like you did something similar when you got your idea at the airport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Esther Sue has a question.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for sharing. And I love what you've done, and just what everyone has said is the focus. My question is, you brought up the cost. So can I ask how much it did cost monetarily to get your book into the book?
The quotes that I got from various publishers went upwards of $20,000 and $25,000 for the book publishing. I figured I've invested $3,000 to $4,000 in the publishing of the book itself. That's not a lot when it comes to an investment in a business. But I also, it was really important that I had a professional cover. The cover design is a professional artist. The inside chapter etchings are really cool, and they add to the story. I didn't want just words on the page. If you open up a business and you put out your sign, and your sign is a white sandwich board with handwritten white marker stuff, a little bit different than if you have a professional neon sign attracting people to your business. And I felt that I needed to invest that. However, I also felt that as a first-time author and bootstrapping it on my own, I didn't necessarily need to invest in all these other things. I could take advantage of podcasts. And John David Mann has a book about writing, and John David Mann's book, and I'm sure Minesh is nodding because he's read it. It's a phenomenal book on the process of writing, and he uses Ernest Hemingway's quote, which is "write drunk and edit sober." And that 4 hour period for me in the morning, I'm obviously not drinking at 5 a.m., but I'm a stream of consciousness person. For 100 or 240 minutes times 60 words a minute, you can get a lot of words on the page, and you can go back and edit. You can read. You can have other people read it. I had a cadre of readers, 20 business friends that read the book on the front side. I also had a series of business leaders that I sent the book to after it was in its first rough draft format and said, would you be willing to provide a blurb about it? People like Bob Berg and Jeff West were nice enough to do so. The foreword was written, I don't know if you can read it. It's hard to read with the
Tom Ziegler, yeah.
Yeah, Tom Ziegler wrote the foreword for the book. That's Zig Ziglar's son. And I didn't know Tom, but one of my connections on LinkedIn did. And I just simply asked if you would make an introduction. There's about 6 references to Zig Ziglar quotes. Things like people can't get what you want. You can get what you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And there's a series of those that are intertwined into the book. And Tom was very gracious in writing the foreword for me.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment there as well. So we have some great announcements coming up. So with the 5 minutes to 11, we'll make those announcements. So that will be very helpful. So for those who want to get a copy of the book, you can send me the chat. In the chat, you can put in, or if you have my email address, just send me your mailing address, and then I'll pass it on to Dave as well. So good. So now Macy is my daughter, and she's 21-year-old. She's been a TEDx speaker as well. And then we have my beautiful wife, Kim. We've been married for 33 years, and she's here to support as well. She's the official organizer of the TEDxLakeMary.com. Anyway, great. So let's start with, and then Dave, we will put you in speed networking as well. So you can have one-on-one interaction with different people. We will do it for, knowing the time is 10:30 to 10. So about 4 minutes, so that you might even get 4 or 5 people to talk to between now. So 2 minutes each, then switch. So Macy,
Okay.
we will start with speed networking now. Muskan, you did a great job. Let me stop the recording.